everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Cavanaugh's Corner. I'm Andrew Cavanaugh. I just want to say thank you for coming back to the channel. This is a big episode for me. This is my first episode of the new year. Welcome to 2017. And also, I moved, as you can see. I'm in a totally new location now. I'm actually going to be filming this from now on from what I like to call the Cavanaugh studio. Around me, you're actually in where I'm going to be viewing most of my movies that I see at home now. I've built pretty much a killer home theater system here. I have a 7.1 Dolby Atmos and DTX home system. It's not the greatest, I'd say, but it is 7.1 and it really kicks. I also still have my 4K LG TV, which has just been amazing since I bought it. Pretty much this is where I'm going to be filming all my stuff. This is my new corner, and just want to say thank you for coming back to us. I really hope that we can extend the viewership this year even more than it was last year. So I just want to say thank you very much, and let's get on to the first video of the year, in which I'm going to be talking about my top 10 favorite movies that I saw during 2016. Now, I can't do the top 10 best movies that came out all year, because I obviously didn't see every movie that came out in 2016. Sadly, I have a full-time job. This is not what I do for a living. This is what I do for fun, but I am a very big movie guy, and I did see quite a few movies in 2016. A few that were great, a few that were not so great, but this is my top 10 list of the best movies that I saw during 2016. I have them right here, and let's get started, okay? Number 10 is The Shallows. That's Blake Lively. It is a very, very intense shark movie. It may be the best shark movie made in many, many years. A lot better than that crap that you see in the on the Sci-Fi Channel, I should say. Blake Lively basically carries the entire movie. She's obviously extremely beautiful. I did not get to see this in theaters, funny enough. I actually got it on a 4K Blu-ray a while back, and it's one of the best movies I own in terms of that format. It is incredible. It does have that Dolby Atmos surround sound soundtrack, which I recently reviewed. Well, not reviewed meaning I reviewed the movie, but I reviewed the actual movie. I watched it again, and with the 7.1 going, it is incredible. For a movie that's not really filled with action, it has an incredible soundtrack, and I mean, just a very overall, very intense movie. And you get to see Blake Lively in a bikini for basically the entirety of the film. But again, absolutely awesome film. Shot extremely well. Actually, it's the same guy that directed Unknown, and I think how to do Nonstop. That's the name of the movie. He did Nonstop with Liam Neeson, and another movie called Unknown. Unknown, not very good movie, but Nonstop I found to be actually a very good suspense film. And this guy knows how to do suspense very well. This movie here, again, it's basically just Blake Lively versus a shark, and it's great. It's just a great movie. I really enjoyed it. I think you would too. And that's my number 10. Number 9 is Sully, starring Tom Hanks, and the movie was directed by Clint Eastwood. Sully is based on a true story of Captain Sully Sullenberger, who saved the lives of 200 and something people on board a 747 that he landed in the Hudson River. Again, that's pretty much the movie. The movie deals with Captain Sullenberger, his own crisis of conscience after the traumatic situation that he dealt with, but also it has to do with his trial that he actually went through afterwards, because a lot of people considered his actions to be extreme and not the right thing to do. Again, the movie deals with that, but the one thing I have to say about this movie is that I saw it in theaters in IMAX, and Clint Eastwood did something incredible with this movie. Now, this is not an extremely long movie. I think the movie's just barely over an hour and a half long, but Clint shot like 99% of this movie in IMAX. So when you saw it in IMAX, which is really the best way to see this movie, you got a full IMAX experience, which is just unbelievable to see. I loved when Christopher Nolan used IMAX in movies like Interstellar and Dark Knight Rises. A lot of other movies have done it since. I know Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol was one of the best experiences I had of that. That was only like one scene in the movie, or two scenes in the movie. But this here, the entire movie was in IMAX, and I really felt like it engulfed you in the film, and you really felt you really felt everything that happened, especially in the scenes where they recount the actual water landing, which is just nerve-wracking to say the least. It's an extraordinary sequence that they show. And they actually show it a couple times from different points of view, which is really amazing. Clint Eastwood is still at the top of his game in this. Tom Hanks is absolutely phenomenal, as he always is. I mean, I haven't seen him do a movie in many years that he wasn't phenomenal in. So definitely check out Sully. Word of warning, though, something that I found out very recently, and it's actually kind of disgusted me, is that this movie, when you buy it on Blu-ray or even in 4K, the movie is not in the IMAX ratio for whatever reason. They released it in the 2 by 4:1 aspect ratio, which is the regular widescreen cinematic CinemaScope kind of widescreen version, and it's not the way the movie is meant to be seen. Clint did not shoot it in that aspect ratio. It was shown in theaters that weren't IMAX in that aspect ratio, but the film should be seen in the IMAX ratio, and it's not. And I don't know why Warner Brothers did not release this movie in that format. I think they really screwed up doing that, and I hope that they re-release it soon in the proper aspect ratio, or at least put out another edition very shortly that's in the IMAX ratio for people that rather see it that way, because Clint went through a lot of trouble filming the movie in IMAX. So why they didn't put it out in IMAX is totally beyond me. Warner Brothers, again, what are you doing? Anyway, let's go to number 8. Number 8 is Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, and this is actually the Ultimate Edition version that I have on this list. Again, another movie that was met with a lot of controversy this year. I personally liked it. I thought the theatrical version was passable, not great. There were a lot of problems with it in terms of storytelling and plot problems and things like that. But in the end, it was really just things that were taken out of the movie that were the cause of all the issue. Now, the Ultimate Edition, again, some people still don't like this version. I think it's a much better film. I think the things they put back in really enhance the story and enhance the characterization of both Batman and Superman. But there are still some issues with it. Overall, I mean, the action in this film is awesome. Again, it's another one of these movies that I own in 4K and Ultra HD, and it just looks amazing. It's a beautiful looking movie. It's very dark, but again, it is a Batman movie, so you're going to get darkness. I still love the movie. I think the Ultimate Edition is the way to go. If you can see it in 4K, it's even better. But definitely check out the Ultimate Edition of Batman v Superman. Even if you didn't like the theatrical version, there's a very good chance you're going to like this the new director's cut version of it, as I like to call it. Again, much better storytelling, much better characterization. And, I mean, overall, it's just a pretty solid superhero movie. Not the best one of the year, but it was pretty solid, and I'm really looking forward to see where Ben Affleck goes from here as Batman, so I think he's really the best part of the movie. Number 7 is another superhero movie. There's actually quite a few of them on this list. We had a lot of them this year. But number 7 is Deadpool. Deadpool was an absolute blast to see. It's definitely the funniest movie I saw all year. I was howling in the movie theater, as was a lot of other people. And it's also not ashamed to be an R-rated movie. And I have to make this point in this because lately, I think because of this movie, actually, studios have kind of lightened up on the whole PG-13 thing. For a few years there, every movie that came out in theaters had to be PG-13. And yes, I'm looking at you, Batman v Superman. You didn't have to be PG-13, but because you're a superhero movie, you had to be PG-13, right? No, the unrated cut's much better. But Deadpool was unabashedly R-rated. It's bloody, it's nasty, it's very sexualized, a lot of innuendos in this movie. There's so many things in this movie that were, just totally off the wall, zany, and it totally works because of Deadpool as a character. Deadpool has always been a fourth wall breaking character. His humor is really, really, really spot on. It's captured really well, and Ryan Reynolds is absolutely phenomenal in this movie. I absolutely loved his portrayal of the character, even though the one that he did in X-Men, not the X-Men, I'm sorry, Wolverine, the origin story of Wolverine, was left a lot to be desired, but even they poke fun at that in this movie. And I loved it. It was an absolute blast. Again, great action sequences, absolutely awesome, especially for the budget they were given for this movie. You can't tell that it was not a relatively large budget film. They really pull it off. I love this movie. One of the best comic book movies I've seen in a long time, and definitely the most funniest I've seen in a very long time. And that was my number 7. Number 6 is Rogue One. Rogue One came out recently. I didn't even get a chance to do a review for it on this channel, so this was going to kind of count as my review. Rogue One is the origin story of how they got the plans for the Death Star in the original Star Wars film, also known as A New Hope. Basically, this movie follows characters that have never been seen before in any other Star Wars movie, and basically gives like a tale, kind of like side tale, spin-off type movie, in which we see how the Rebel Alliance got to where they are between episodes 3 and 4. That's pretty much the most I'm going to say. I'm not going to give away anything other than that, but I have to say it was a very exciting movie. More than anything else, I felt like this was definitely put the war in Star Wars. I can't say a lot of other Star Wars movies felt like war films. This definitely felt like a war movie. A lot of people die in this. It's very, very brutal at times for, again, a PG-13 movie. And I want to just put this out there. This is not a kids' movie. I don't know why they're marketing this for kids. This is so not a kids' movie. This is a hard PG-13 movie. Actually, maybe one of the hardest PG-13 movies of the year. But still, I loved it. It wasn't my favorite sci-fi action movie of the year. A lot of people are going to get ticked off at my next choice, but I will say I enjoyed this movie. My one catch with this film that I have to say definitely put a hamper on the overall movie is that I felt that I could not get attached to the characters in this film. And it's an issue I had with quite a few movies that came out this year where I felt like I didn't care about what happened to the characters because I already had an idea of what was going to happen to them, since none of the other Star Wars movies after this point feature any of these characters except for basically Darth Vader, who in this movie is not giving anything away. He's basically a glorified cameo. Also, there's another character that's in this movie that is completely CGI and pretty much had to be completely CGI because of extenuating circumstances. Again, I'm not going to give that anything away in case you haven't seen it, because it is worth seeing. I think it's a very exciting movie. It's one of the better Star Wars movies ever made, but because of the characterization issues I had with it, I can't give it a higher recommendation than number 6. Number 5, however, my choice for number 5 is Star Trek Beyond. Star Trek Beyond is hands down one of the most fun movies I've seen in a long time. And I say fun meaning like I had a genuinely good time watching this movie. I saw it in IMAX 3D, and again, I'm not the biggest IMAX 3D person, but man, it really lent to this film. I really felt like I was part of the action. The space battles in this were just mind-blowing. I really liked them. Were the effects as good as Rogue One? I mean, they're right on par. I mean, they were pretty good. The story, was it as good as Rogue One? I like the story, actually. I really like the story. The reason why this beat out Rogue One just by a little bit, and I'm not a Star Trek fanboy, I'm not even a Star Wars fanboy. I really like both series. I grew up with Star Wars, whereas recently I'm only getting into Star Trek as of the last like 4 or 5 years. But Star Trek Beyond to me was just a blast of a movie, whereas Star Trek Into Darkness was a very dark, very kind of, I don't want to say harsh-toned film. This one here felt like an actual like ride. It was a really enjoyable movie. And the other thing that I can say about this film that I can't say about Star Trek, I can say about Rogue One, was this Star Trek film, I really gave a crap about what happened to all the characters. Okay, so we really, really want to see these guys do well. All right, and if we don't, obviously we care about what happens to them. And I really felt like I felt very attached to these characters at this point. Captain Kirk, Spock, Bones, McCoy, all these guys, okay? I felt like I really was attached to these people. And they go through quite a lot in Star Trek Beyond. There's some crazy stuff that happens in it. And there's also a new character that's introduced in this, Sofia Boutella, who's going to be playing the Mummy very soon, which I'm kind of interested to see how that goes. Her character in this movie was very, very, very interesting. And her backstory, she's very tragic, kind of sad backstory. And I really felt for her in this. And so this new addition to the cast I thought really worked well. And I can't wait to see what they do with the next one, if there is another Star Trek movie. I really hope there is, because they did a really good job with this one. And it's one of my favorite sci-fi movies, if not my favorite sci-fi movie of the year. Number 4, however, Number 4 is one of the best action movies of the year, hands down, and that's The Magnificent Seven. Again, Magnificent Seven was a movie that kind of came out and then kind of came and went, and it's really a shame because I really love this movie. Denzel Washington in this movie really just, he's so good as the badass now. Like, he can play that kind of part so well. He has just enough sense of humor in this movie, as well as that kind of tough guy persona. This tough guy, smart ass, like he does that so well now. This movie, he does it with it's just perfection. As well as Chris Pratt in this, Ethan Hawke, Vincent D'Onofrio, they all give absolutely awesome performances. Vincent D'Onofrio in this movie, he's a fucking gem in this. Some people were laughing at, he does this funny accent / kind of funny voice in this. Actually, kind of funny. His voice reminded me a lot of, now that I'm thinking about it, he reminded me a lot of Forrest Whitaker's voice in Rogue One, but kind of, not really. But everything Vincent D'Onofrio comes out with in this movie is just like, it's just, they're all pearls. They're all just absolute pearls, and I loved that movie. It was just so spectacular. Action sequences are great, and also something I like to say about this movie was not afraid to be brutally violent, and also it wasn't afraid to do things to the main characters that were pretty harsh. Again, not going to give anything away, but the finale of this movie is pretty intense. It's nasty, but I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And actually, I found out recently, this just came out recently on 4K as well, and I heard that the 4K release of this is spectacular. So I'm going to pick that up, and so look for my review of that on this channel coming up, hopefully within the next couple weeks. But definitely a great, great movie. I loved it. If you like Westerns, you will absolutely love this movie. It's one of the best Westerns that come out in probably decades. I want to say probably since like the 90s, and actually no, I'd say it's probably the best Western that's come out since Open Range with Kevin Costner and Robert Duvall. It's the best one since then, hands down. I loved it. You'll love it too if you like Westerns, if you like action movies, if you like Denzel Washington. It's got a lot going for it, so definitely check that out. Number 3, my number 3 favorite movie of 2016 was The Nice Guys with Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe. The Nice Guys, again, was another one of these movies that came out in the summer that came and went. It was in theaters for like a week, not even, and then it was gone. It totally bombed, and it really didn't deserve that. I thought this was absolutely the best action comedy of the year. It had a great, great story. It had awesome characters and just absolutely hilarious performances from Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling. Russell Crowe in this movie looks like he's having a blast. I mean, he is having such a great time in this movie. Him and Ryan Gosling make a great pair. I don't think they're going to make a sequel to this movie. I really hope they do. But, man, I'll tell you, Shane Black, who wrote, I think, the first two Lethal Weapon movies, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, Long Kiss Goodnight, just very, very, just awesome action movies. Great action movies, great action comedies. I also did Iron Man 3, which, again, wasn't great. It's more of an action movie than is an Iron Man movie. But I tell you, this guy knows how to do this kind of thing. And this is one of the best movies he's ever done. I absolutely adored the way this movie was done. It really felt like a movie that could have come out in the 70s or 80s. It does not feel like a 2016 film. There's some great action sequences in it. I should say. Absolutely hilarious exchanges between Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling. And it's just overall, it's just a really good time. And I think no matter if you're a fan of this kind of movie or not, you should definitely see it. It's a movie that deserved way better than what it got. Another critic on YouTube, Chris Stuckman, this was his #1 favorite movie of 2016, and I can totally see why. It is a instant classic of a movie. I'm sure as the years go on, this movie's going to kind of achieve a cult status. I can totally see that happening, but for now, go out and buy The Nice Guys on Blu-ray. It is a awesome, awesome movie. It's the best action comedy of the year, hands down. But I thought there was a few movies that were better. My number two favorite movie of 2016 was Captain America: Civil War. Now, why did I put a superhero movie so high on this list? I saw this movie multiple times in the theaters. It was an absolute blast. This is pretty much what I've been waiting for in terms of superhero movies. We're talking, it's basically an Avengers movie with a different title. You got everybody and their mothers in this movie. Absolute blast. I can't say enough. This movie delivers in every way that a superhero movie could deliver. You got great action sequences. One action sequence actually shot in IMAX. Again, doing it right on Blu-ray. When you watch this on I think the 3D version of this movie actually extends the ratio. So yeah, Warner Brothers, why can't you do that? All right, come on, wake up, let's go. Anyway, if Disney can do it, you can do it. Come on, I know they got more money, but come on. But yeah, Captain America: Civil War, great comedy. What a revelation that happens in the third act. There's such a twist. Who thought to put a dramatic twist in a comic book movie? Who the hell, what is that about? It just totally floored me. It had me, gripping my hair in the movie theater, what's left of it. It was just one of these movies that totally wowed me in every category. Hands down, the best action movie of the year, the best superhero movie of the year. It just delivers on every cylinder. It just fires all the way through. If you haven't seen this movie, you probably live under a rock. What the hell are you doing? Go out and buy this thing. Enjoy it. And also, we finally got the best version of Spider-Man. Again, not spoiling anything here. They're putting him in the commercials now, but Tom Holland is Spider-Man, even though, again, he's basically just a glorified cameo, totally steals the entire movie away from everybody. I cannot wait for Spider-Man Homecoming with him and Michael Keaton. That is going to be really something. Also, Tom Holland and Robert Downey Jr., that is some of the best chemistry I have seen on screen in a very long time. This guy is a kid. Tom Holland is younger than I am. I'm just going to put that out there. and he delivers in this movie as Spider-Man so perfectly. No origin story needed. Just get on with it. Disney knows what they're doing. They're on a roll this year. Again, as good as this movie was, I found that there was one movie better. And my number one choice for the best movie of 2016 is Arrival. Arrival came out of nowhere, and I went to go see this movie with my friend on a total whim. And I don't know, man. Like, this movie just it was like pants crappingly good. That you can quote that, Andrew Cavanaugh, pants crappingly good, 2017. This movie is so not an alien invasion movie. That's the outer layer. This movie is a giant onion, and that is just the outer layer. This is a movie about communication. It's a movie about choice. It's a movie about fate. It's a movie about the human condition. It is God, man, I can't even, I tear up just thinking about it. This is the only movie I saw in 2016 that made me cry. I teared up in the movie theater. I'm not ashamed to say it. This movie has actually one or two twists that are totally flooring. It has got a story that I'm not even going to really detail. You should see this movie. It's not really in theaters anymore, which is a shame. Again, this is a movie that kind of came out, did pretty well. I mean, it did all right, and then it kind of just fell off the face of the earth. But Denis Villeneuve, I think that's how you pronounce his name. I'm sorry, Denis, if I'm getting this wrong, but this is a guy that's been on a roll with movies for a while, and I was very glad to see he's doing Blade Runner 2049, which, again, looks awesome. This is the guy that did Sicario, which is, again, one of the best movies of the year that it came out. He did, oh my God, what other movies did he do? He did Prisoners, Enemy. This guy is just, he is a phenomenal director. And what he did with this movie is he took a movie that could have been a fairly corny film and just directed the shit out of it. The movie looks phenomenal. It sounds phenomenal. Amy Adams gives a performance that is hands down the best of her career. Don't get me wrong, she's a good actress, but she just destroys, she just kills it in this movie. I mean, she is just flawless. Jeremy Renner is a smaller part, but even his part in this is just, he's perfect. I mean, everybody in this movie is perfect. Forrest Whitaker shows up, does the eye thing. He's great. He plays a general in this, but I mean, he just shows up and plays tough, and that's all he has to do. He's awesome. Everybody in this movie is awesome. But again, I'm not going to go into details in this movie, because if I do, I'm going to ruin it for you. And I do not want to ruin this movie. You should see this movie as soon as it comes out on Blu-ray. You should buy it. If it's available digitally, I'm not sure if it is at the time of this video coming out, but just see this damn movie. It's the closest I've seen to a perfect film in a long time. And it's hard for me to say that because I really do not think there is such thing as a perfect film. There's always going to be something off somewhere with every movie. But this movie, everything in this movie was spot on. I left this movie constantly thinking about it. I thought about this movie for days after I saw it, and I cannot wait to see it again. It is the best movie I saw in 2016. Was it the best movie that came out in 2016? I don't know. I haven't seen every movie that came out last year, but to me, this was the best movie I saw, hands down. It left me reeling. It left my friend reeling. Everybody I know that's seen this movie is pretty much on the same page. It's just a phenomenal work. It's an amazing film, and it is my choice of the best film that I saw during 2016. Anyway, that's my top 10 list. I'm not going to do a top 10 worst because honestly, I don't think there were that many bad movies that came out in 2016. Suicide Squad. Sorry. But I cannot wait for this upcoming year. I'm very excited. I already have a few movies I know I'm going to review coming up very shortly. Actually, a few home video releases I'm going to do very shortly. And I can't wait to bring them to you. Until then, I'm Andrew Cavanaugh. Thank you for joining me in the new set and this new year. And I wish you all the best, and I can't wait to see you again. Thank you very much. Have a good night.